Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Kernahan Webb. I am a professor of law and business at the Toronto Metropolitan University. But more importantly, for the purposes of this session, I am the director of the Toronto Metropolitan University Institute for the Study of Corporate Social Responsibility. And today we've got the good fortune to be having a chat with Liz McBeth, who is the CEO of Armour Valve, a small, medium-sized Canadian firm here. And we're going to benefit from the opportunity of kind of peering in over her shoulder to get a better understanding of the challenges and opportunities that are faced by small and medium-sized firms as they navigate the business landscape and the corporate responsibility landscape, which is a big challenge, just generally, for small and medium-sized firms who just generally speaking do not have the bandwidth of a larger firm that can have a dedicated person or a unit on staff that takes care of all these issues. They're dealing with this and everything else within a much smaller frame. So we're also very fortunate for this particular session to be supported by two other really fantastic Toronto Metropolitan University institutes. One is the TMU Diversity Institute, and the second is the TMU Family Business Institute. And so for all of you who are patching in for the first time, welcome. And for those of you who are making a return engagement, welcome back. Just to mention that all of these sessions are held in the spirit of constructive engagement. Basically, what can we learn? How can we learn from subject matter experts, be they in academia, government, private sector, civil society, NGOs, wherever they are? Typically, what they have is a particular set of experiences and insights that we can all potentially benefit from. And that certainly is the case here today. Next slide, please. Toronto Metropolitan University is located in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Next slide, please. When we talk about social responsibility here at the Toronto Metropolitan University CSR Institute, we draw on this definition of social responsibility, which comes from an ISO standard, ISO 26000. The actual standard is more than 100 pages long, but the definition is, as you can see here, quite short. The advantage of using an ISO standard and the definition in it is that this was developed by a cross-section of intergovernmental organizations, governments, businesses, civil society organizations, and so on from around the world, and both from developed countries and developing countries through a consensus process. And so we have a fairly high degree of confidence that this is the sort of understanding of social responsibility that people around the world are aligning themselves with these days. And so you see it talks about transparency with respect to both impacts of decisions and activities contributing to health, welfare, sustainable development of society, taking into account the expectations of stakeholders, stakeholders being a considerably broader category than shareholders, shareholders being just one example of a stakeholder. If you are a socially responsible organization, you're of course complying with the law, but beyond that, oftentimes you are complying with international norms of behavior of one sort or another. We'll talk about a few of those today because I know that this is one of the things that Armour Valve is doing, is attempting to align with some of these. And it's not just about integrating it throughout the organization itself, but also in its relations with others, whether that's supply chain partners, customers, or workers or communities, and so on. So it's quite a comprehensive definition, and that's why we draw on it here. Next slide, please. The other major thing that we draw on is the concept of sustainable governance, which basically focuses on the idea that in the 21st century, the sorts of problems that we face or challenges that we face from a governance standpoint, they run the gamut. They're environmental, they're social, they're economic, and typically they are cross-border. That is to say, they don't climate change, for example, is not something that neatly fits in the borders of Canada or Ontario or the city of Toronto. It's a global problem and it crosses the borders. Issues with respect to gender, issues with respect to community welfare are issues that cross borders. So knowing that is the case, knowing also that we're constantly being hit by evolving technological related challenges. Anyone heard about artificial intelligence, for example? Problem of the day, or challenge of the day, or opportunity of the day, technologically speaking. But other challenges as well, like social media, and before that, many other things, blockchain. So there's always something coming up. It's fast evolving. So how do we address those? The conclusion associated with this sustainable governance concept is that the only way we can effectively address these is through a combination of government, private sector, and civil society action, drawing on a combination of instruments, institutions, processes, and actors. And sometimes there's a great deal of collaboration across those, and sometimes there's more of a rivalrous or competitive or check and balance dynamic. Both are valuable. Both push and prod all of us to be better. And so sustainable governance is all about how do we draw on, capture, and ultimately systematize these various different motivations in order to effectively address the environmental, social, and economic challenges faced by businesses in 2026 going forward. Next slide, please. So associated with sustainable governance is this taxonomy. Institutions refers to things like legislatures, courts, regulatory agencies on the government side, but it also refers to certification bodies, standards bodies, auditors, and so on. Those are sort of institutions that are on the non-state side of things. Rule instruments, yes, it's definitely including legislation, but also an incredible number of non-state instruments, policies, targets, benchmarks, standards, and so on, using a variety of different processes, everything from enforcement actions of government, but also auditing with respect to non-state initiatives, and so on, and involving a wide range of different actors, government, private sector, and civil society. So sustainable governance involves all of those from government, private sector, and civil society. Next slide, please. Just also to let you know that these sorts of CSR Institute sessions, we have them all the time. And if you want to know more about the sessions that we have, you can just Google CSR Institute and TMU, and that'll take you to the website. You'll see that we have a lot of these sessions. All of them are up on the website, and all of them are recorded, so you can click on them and catch up on any ones before now, and you can learn of ones that are coming up. And Toronto Metropolitan University is involved in a whole bunch of other things, and the red headlines here are just giving you a bit of a flavor of some of the things that Toronto Metropolitan University is doing in the area of corporate social responsibility. Next slide, please. So finally, we're here to talk about the main event, talking to Liz McBeth, CEO of Armour Valve, and learning more about Armour Valve. So Armour Armour Valve is the recipient of the 2026 Impact and Sustainability Award from the Family Enterprise of the Year Award. So congratulations to you, Liz, for that. Um, you can see the sorts of things that they do. We're going to get more elaboration on that in terms of specialized valves and so on. What exactly are we talking about? Liz will be helping us out in that regard. Um, Armour Valve has got two facilities here in Canada. And so that's going to help us with the question of SME. Is it an S? Is it an M? So we'll learn more about that. And of course, yes, having to address issues of reliability, safety, and operational efficiency. Um, Liz is the president and CEO of Armour Valve, but it is a family run business, and she is the second generation of that family. And so, again, super interesting angle to discuss is decision making in a family run business, multi-generational family run business. How do you do it? Um, more specifically, how is Liz and Armour Valve doing it? And as you can see, uh, Armour Valve's been on a bit of a journey here, formally redefining its corporate why, its purpose, you could say. So we'll talk about that journey, and uh, and then you can just see more generally some of the things that Liz is passionate about, and the fact that the company is working towards net zero operations. And see, there's an example of one of those standards we were talking about, Liz, the Canada's Net Zero Challenge. It's a great example of one of those standards that exist out there. So next slide, please. Just to notice, we do have people patching in from around the world, different time zones, which is really remarkable. Tremendous props for those of you who are patching in at oddball times of the day and night. If you do have any questions or comments or observations, we often get some really good questions and observations. I would do my best to fold those in to the conversation as we have them. So just please email me with your questions and comments, and I'll do my best to fold them in, and we will take it from there. So, Liz, thank you for putting up with that opening bit, but it's done now, and we're in a position to move ahead. So, welcome. Tremendous that you could join us here today. Could we get a little bit of that origin story first of all, about yourself, and then we'll go for the origin story of Armour Valve. I'm anticipating that when you were a small child in a sandbox somewhere, mom and dad beaming down as you played away in the sandbox, you didn't look up and say, "Mom, Dad, when I grow up, I want to run your business and I want to take it in a sustainability direction." So maybe you can tell us a little bit about um, the zigzag that led to here you are today, CEO of Armour Valve.
Certainly, Kernahan, thank you very much. And it's exciting to be speaking to an audience of TMU um, uh, stakeholders from around the world. TMU is doing incredible things, so I'm very excited to be here. Um, yeah, I mean, like most children of entrepreneurs, I grew up in a household where business was talked about at the dinner table and at lots of other occasions. All of us worked in the business at various ages and stages. Um, and there was no expectation that any of us, the four of us, would actually end up working in the business over an extended period of time. Um, so when my father invited me to come and join the business after I graduated from an MBA program at a neighboring school.
Also very
uh,
good.
yeah, um, he challenged me. And I think he had an unfair advantage because he knew where all my buttons were, right? And he said, I've got a difficult challenge. I'm not sure you're up for it. So, of course, I took on the project, which was an ERP implementation, and really just stayed on in the business thereafter. But in my earlier years, we used to have relatively heated debates about the environment and the impact of some of the industries that our company serves. And when I finally took over as president first, and then CEO and president, I had an opportunity to change our focus. And that is not to say abandoning our customers because they're very important to the Canadian economy, the customers I grew up with. But we're at this exciting time when clean technology, circular processes, and decarbonization are being pursued in every industry. And so our pivot is more of a yes and, where we're going to make sure we support our existing clients who have kept the lights on and our homes warm and are still very important to us in Canada, and but also look to create space for ourselves in some of these emerging areas of industry where we feel the advantages we bring to one side of the business apply equally to these newer growing and emerging markets for us. So I don't know if that
Fantastic.
answers your question.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
If I can, said the dentist to the patient, if I can probe a little bit further, um, in this regard, when you came out of your MBA,
Mhm.
what were you sort of specializing in? What did you kind of think would be the fit for you? And did you work at all in that area before you came
Yes.
to? Yeah.
So I worked as um, marketing and strategic communications consultant for a good 9 or 10 years before graduating and then joining the family business. So I had experience working in San Francisco and moved back to Toronto with the same profession over a span of about a decade. And my interest and focus was on social enterprise, member-driven associations, um, and nonprofit. So I was a bit of an outlier in the MBA program as well, because that convergence of business and social mission really interested me. And at the time I did my MBA, CSR was the descriptor for what we're talking about. It
Yeah,
was just emerging at the time. So then it became ESG, and now we're talking about purpose. Um, but I would say that same tension between authentic practice and communication strategy, it still plays out.
exactly. Well, it's nice you're able to kind of transition then with that background and that experience from what you were doing outside of the firm to moving in with the firm and kind of bringing that with you, bringing your values with you. Uh, the valves were already there, but the
Yes, the
values.
values. Well, the
uh,
values were there as well, Kernahan. I mean, my parents, like a lot of entrepreneurs, really had a clear purpose at the beginning, which was to sell the best product that they could, because worker safety is paramount. And they didn't want to see anybody else's family come to harm because of something our family business had sold. It was very clear. And so this is also a building on that to extend from shareholder worker to stakeholder, planet and people writ large.
but that's a really great point about um, family-owned businesses is that typically the owners, the original owners, originators of a particular company, are in a position to whatever are their values become the values of the company. There's no kind of big transition that has to take place. And so, uh, for example, looking after your neighbor, sort of that sort of very basic and respect for workers and so on are the sorts of things in a small firm. You look directly into the eyes of your workers. You look directly into the eyes of your customers. These are not some sort of abstract things on another side of the world. And so I like what you're saying about how uh, your parents were already kind of reflecting values. They were not using the language, whatever crazy language we're using today, whether it's CSR or ESG or purpose or whatever it might be, but they were just doing it. They were just doing it in a much more intuitive way, I think is what you're saying. Then now everything is programmatic. We gotta have a program for that. There's got to be a rule for that, and so on and so forth. Is that your kind of perception as well?
There was some intentionality to what they were doing as well. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Everything is an operating system now, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they were raising a young family and they had colleagues, coworkers who were also raising young families and um, making sure that we had a good reputation among the client base, but also making sure that people felt seen and valued, um, and that the needs of their families were respected. Because, ultimately at the end of the day, people's families come first, and a reasonable employer would recognize that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. Well, speaking of family, before we move on to talking about exactly what does Armor Valve do, you mentioned you've got, I take it, three brothers and sisters. Are they, maybe I have that wrong, but I thought that's what you were saying. And if that is the case, are they in Armor Valve or are they outside of Armor Valve?
Yeah, I have three brothers. They are not in the business, and they all pursued sort of different career paths. And two of them sort of left the Toronto area. So I'm not sure why I was selected and invited back. But I'm glad I accepted the challenge. And to the extent this is a family business, my dad and I are still involved together. And, thinking about the next transition, I have one son. So there, you talked about Vegas earlier in the conversation. That is, could be a challenge for us if, as we identify as a family business. But you're absolutely right. The decision making is values based. As much as we want to make a profit, it's not at any cost.
Right. No, that's extremely interesting, and I know this, but perhaps everybody else doesn't know it. Um, your mom and your dad were
Mm,
working together as a team for Armor Valve for I take it like decades
yes.
together as well. So when we're talking family business, we're really talking family business here.
Yeah, they
um,
were partners.
yeah. So I can see why at the kitchen table there would be very little line between talking about business and talking about pass the peas or whatever the case might be.
Absolutely.
Well,
There,
maybe
yes.
we can now switch over to talking a little bit about the business itself in terms of what does it actually make? How does it
Mhm.
make it? And how did I guess, your dad originally get into the valve business.
Mm. Yeah. It was not a straight path. Um, I think, well, first of all, Armor Valve, what we make are sales and relationships. We sell valve and pipe and actuators and controls into some of Canada's largest industries, including energy in all its forms, pulp and paper, some mining, and municipal and campus district energy as well. And uh, so my father actually graduated from the Wharton School of Business and started off in finance, which he found was not a good fit for him. And
Sounds familiar,
yeah,
eh?
eventually found his way into valves. He's really knowledgeable about valves, guru status. So another topic we could cover is taking over from somebody who is
Mhm.
that immersed in the space is very daunting. Um, but eventually found his calling in partnership with a couple of friends. And that was a different company that he then took over and rebranded as Armour Valve. And then at that point in time, my mother came into the business.
Okay. And when we're talking about these valves, um, I take it basically they play an extremely important role in the transmission of for example, fuels,
Mhm.
but other things as well. And there's a particular environmental, in addition to a safety element in it. There's a particular environmental element to it. Is that correct? I'm just circling back, excuse the pun, to
Mm.
your comment about circularity and so on. So is it you can have a valve that does the job, and you can have a valve that does the job and also has particularly positive environmental attributes or features. Is that correct? Or how does that work?
Well, it can be the valve or it can be the process. What you want to do is avoid leaks and emissions. So having very few leak paths, the design of the valve can contribute to its environmental effectiveness, if you will, but also the process. So you mentioned earlier, I think it was a sustainable governance taxonomy.
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a sustainable finance taxonomy as well. And, one of our goals for this year is to have 50% of revenues come from low carbon or decarbonized processes, circular processes, um, et cetera. And so we use the financial, sustainable finance taxonomy to define which of the processes we sell into qualify as cleaner processes. And that's how we're measuring. So a few years ago, we might not have been able to do that. The sustainable finance taxonomy wasn't as readily available. But since we've started this work as a small business, we have people who bring these resources to us because we would not necessarily be connected to um, uh, dialed into those resources without help from stakeholders who like the work that we're doing and want to see us continue down this path and be successful.
Can you just expand a little bit on that? You don't have to give names of companies or anything, but
Mm.
maybe just give us an example of one of these systems, processes, and opportunities that has come your way, why and how it has come your way, and how it is you're seizing on those, and perhaps not taking a lot of business opportunities that don't have, if I understand correctly, this same dimension, this same
Mm.
positive environmental dimension. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that? Because on the outside in, it's valves, right? Like
Yep.
it doesn't necessarily click with people as to how this has significant environmental dimensions.
The largest portion of our sales that's kind of aligned with our purpose and with cleaner energy forms would be district energy. So we have products for hot water district energy. There are lots of examples around Toronto. There's Markham District Energy, there's Enwave, um, and others. It's part of almost every campus's net zero
Mhm.
target. So you may well have be connected to like Regent Park District Energy. Um, and so what we do is we count every sale into the hot water district energy market as purpose aligned. So it's uh, to explain the technology, instead of having a boiler in every single building, you've got a central utility that distributes the hot water and also the chilled water to multiple businesses or multiple residences. And through that single utility, you can heat the full campus.
And so what you're saying is that because, for example, the city of Toronto incentivizes that, and because BMO incentivizes that, that is to say, they have various different green projects and so on, bonds and so on. Therefore, you have, for example, a complex of buildings in downtown Toronto that want to use this district energy approach because A, it's going to be more efficient and
Mhm.
save them money, and B, it's also from a climate change, for example, standpoint, it's better from that standpoint. So once they decide, hey, we're interested in this district energy thing, then you guys come in with your solution, which is part of the broader system solution, which is the valve part of it. Is that correct?
Yes, we sell valves and piping into district energy systems.
Okay. And it's not, are those valves and pipes and so on, are they particularly environmentally better than other valves and pipes that could be used to connect up a district energy system? Or is it just your choice as a company that you want to be involved in and supply valves for those sorts of, from an environmental standpoint, positive projects, as opposed to all of the other projects that are out there?
Well, you bring up an interesting challenge for a small business, which is the resources needed to do to conduct like a full life cycle analysis of products um, is not something that is readily available to us. We just don't have the capacity, the resources, the time to do that. So, as far as our own sustainability initiative is concerned, we focus on what we can control and measure. And we have chosen, because it's voluntary for us, to focus on those types of emissions, again, that we can control and measure, and eliminate guesswork from our scopes. It just, for us, that was where we had to uh, draw the line.
Yeah.
Um, and it's, I think, the emissions you can control and measure are at this point in time the ones that you should be focusing on as a small business.
But if I can just make a sort of an analogy here,
Mm.
you could have someone selling boxes. Those boxes could be used for um, uh, taking stuff to food banks, or those boxes could be used as part of a bank robbery.
Mm.
You choose to only sell your boxes to people who are using them as part of food banks, and you purposely choose to not sell your boxes to people. As I said, this is a crazy metaphor, right? Obviously, you're not selling valves to anyone doing something horrible, but I'm just trying to get at the point. It's the same valve or it's the same box, but you're choosing to work with and be involved in systems and processes and projects and so on that are designed to have positive environmental impacts. Is
We're
that correct?
actively seeking those opportunities out,
Okay.
and really looking for solutions that scale. There are kind of pilot projects and initiatives in lots of different industries, but we aren't seeing the scale, let's say, of our typical client base being Atura Power or Enbridge. That level of scale isn't out there. So in district energy, for instance, it's city by city, campus by campus, which is great. It's a growing market for us. But um, fuels like sustainable aviation fuel are not produced at scale in the same way that conventional fuels are produced. So we're paying attention to the landscape and the trends, and pursuing growth opportunities where our products are a strong fit in those circular and low carbon areas of business.
Okay, and so the measurement angle, can you just expand a little bit on that? You're choosing the ones where there's a measurable component. So are you suggesting that you can attribute a measurable improvement, for example, from a climate change standpoint, because with the valves that you are supplying, there's less leakage and less sort of in that. I'm guessing here on the
Hmm.
outside looking in. So can you explain a little bit more on that front?
I, I wouldn't frame it that way. The product that we sell um, either is built to last or built to be repaired. So from that standpoint, if you think about all the R's,
Yeah.
it is more environment or less environmentally harmful, let's say.
Okay.
You use less material. Uh, you are going in to repair it less. In the situation where piping and infrastructure is buried, it's often not practical to get in and fix a leak. You want to set and forget it over an extended period of time, like 30 to 50 years. So it's more our product fits in with the kind of repair, recycle, because the metal gets recycled at the end of life. Um, and the fact that it lasts a very long time when it's built well.
Are some of them more repairable than others? For example, you could get two different valves that would
Hmm.
do exactly the same thing. With one of them, if something goes wrong, it's easier to repair that, where the other one, you just have to throw it out because it's not repairable if something goes wrong with
Absolutely.
it. So that's
Absolutely.
okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Now I'm getting it. Um, it sounds very much like you must be part of a broader sort of package that when you put that entire package together, um, the valves are an extremely important part of it, but you'd be working with a number of other partners that together create, for example, the district heating system. So you must be, for example, um, regularly working with the same people because you've discovered these are people who understand for example, the environmental implications and appreciate the value of long-lasting equipment and so on. And so you work with them, they work with you, they seek you out, you seek them out. But typically, any particular project would involve multiple different actors that ultimately come together to create that system. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There would be an engineering firm, an end user, obviously. Sometimes a different operator, a construction firm or contractor. There could be many, many players.
And ultimately, if there is someone at the top pressing, for example, a property owner, property manager owner who's got six big buildings in downtown Toronto in more or less the same area, they would be getting pressure from, for example, a bank to do it in a environmentally sustainable way. And so they would in turn, that would kind of trigger um, ultimately people like yourself, businesses such as yourself, products such as the products that you are involved in to be used so that they can ultimately claim back to the bank, here's what we're doing, which has a positive contribution. And your job is to calculate the particular positive environmental benefits. I say your job, one of your
Mm,
jobs in terms of making the case for why Armour valves are the sorts of valves that should be used in the project. One of your jobs is to be able to say, we can estimate the particular positive environmental implications that flow, excuse the pun, from
mm.
using your valves over another set of valves, for example. Is that correct?
We would work with our manufacturers. Our manufacturers are responsible for, I guess, disclosing the benefits of the product, and any of the different entities involved in a project, they'll have different concerns. Some are concerned about reliability and longevity. Others are concerned primarily about price. Um, and some will be concerned about the sustainable uh, uh, benefits of the installation.
Okay. Is there any existing certification um, process out there that could attach specifically to the valves? So you could say, we've got the build or the green seal or the fill in the
Mm.
blanks, right? Uh, for valves as part of and pipes as part of a broader set of things that are all involved in environmentally positive projects of the sort that you're involved in, or it doesn't exist at this point, or yeah.
I'm not aware of anything along those lines, but certainly in valves there are leakage classes that define how much or how little certain valves can leak. In the sustainable fuel space, hydrogen is the real kind of problematic media because it is so small and causes embrittlement in metal. So, just to give you an example of a certification, one of our partners out of Germany um, has had their product tested at 100% hydrogen flowing through the valve over many, many cycles. And it has been certified 100% or, yeah, 100% hydrogen ready or hydrogen ready at 100%. So, there definitely are an abundance of standards around valves, leakage classes, etc. But for some of the newer processes that are being piloted and are emerging, there aren't specific standards as of yet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's an interesting time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, for me, and I'm anticipating from a fair percentage of people who are patching in, all of this stuff is entirely new. It's like lifting up a rock, and there's an amazing array of things underneath that rock that none of us have ever seen before. So I apologize if the questions have seemed a little bit to the left and the right. It's because I don't know exactly what I'm looking at. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, let me just say, valves are not something I bring up often in
yeah.
social conversations.
Yes, yes, I can appreciate that. But it sounds like, long story short, is that Armour Valve has occupied a niche in terms of the broader sort of industrial processes that use valves and pipes as these are the guys you go to because they understand all those sorts of issues and they can give you all the information that they know. They can provide it to you to ensure that there's compatibility with what you're trying to do. Is that the case? That's a kind of a thing that you're either aspiring to or to some extent a niche that you have is go to Armour Valve. They're good people. They have very reliable products, and they know a lot about this. You can talk turkey with them, and they're more than ready to do it. Is that kind of like a,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, I think we're known for the quality of the products that we represent. We're known for being a valve supplier who cares about the end result, almost as much as the client does, and getting it right, um, and following through. Um, so, I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in a business that has this long-standing reputation that's quite positive. And for anybody who's patching in from the Family Business Institute, it's a legacy that you wanna defend and sustain. So there's a little pressure on the second generation to continue to live up to that standard while also being innovative and moving the company forward in a way that's fit for the times today
I
and to
hear you.
future-proof it, the legacy.
I understand, I can appreciate the challenges you're talking about. If, for example, your dad is a guru in the area, that's something that you just cannot pick that up. What you can pick up is, for example, your finger in the wind to see these are the issues of today. How can we cater effectively to those particular interests and concerns of
Right, and
2026?
and preserve our relevance as industry changes around us.
Right.
Anybody who's been in the workforce for the last 6 years, there's been nothing but change and uncertainty. It's amazing how resilient we are to have made it through that period.
Well, let's
I mean,
let's
collectively, all of us on this call, it's been a bumpy ride.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit when we talk about it being an SME. What are the total employees of Armour Valve, Toronto, and is it Calgary? Is it your second?
We have salespeople located in many different provinces, but the total headcount is 28. We're very small.
Which we were talking about this prior to the call, has some incredible advantages in the sense of
Mm,
agility. You identify an opportunity, you're in a better position to make a decision about whether you're going to take that opportunity and run with it with a smaller firm than you are a very large firm where it has to go through multiple levels of approval and so on. So, what can you give us a bit of a flavor for the decision-making process now? Um, an idea for a project comes forward, it's brought to your attention, or it's brought to your dad's attention, or one of your salespeople in part of your network. Um, what is the process then in a small firm, um, 28 total employees? What is how is decision making done in that
mm.
sort of situation?
Right. So that decision-making process has evolved as we've transitioned from one generation to the other. Um, what used to be a very centralized decision-making process on the shoulders of one person has evolved. And so when I started um, working on the management team back when I headed up marketing and business systems, uh, very intentionally worked on building a leadership team so that when the eventual transition happened, that there would be more heads at the table. We don't have a board structure, so there isn't that kind of oversight, but having a committee of trusted colleagues to bounce ideas off of produces better results than a single person acting on their own. Anything significant that would transform the business significantly, I would discuss with my father. But the day-to-day management of the business and the near term and midterm planning that rests with the leadership team now.
Okay. And the leadership team in a 28 member firm, what are we talking about? Like four or five people total, including yourself?
Actually, I think we're seven, six or seven. So it's a fair portion of the company.
And so just as a cross section, what is that likely to be? It's like it's you. Uh
Departmentally, you mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, so sales obviously is very important. We're a sales and service organization, operations and finance.
So like three from the one and four from the other gives us seven, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's maybe more heavily weighted towards sales.
Okay. And do you meet often? Is it on when something comes up? And getting back to this agility point, when
Mm,
something does come up, you're sufficiently small that you can probably put together a meeting, in the next couple
yes.
of days, type of thing. Yeah,
Absolutely. When there's an urgent matter that needs our attention, we can act swiftly. We don't have to wait for the next committee meeting. But we are geographically dispersed, and so we meet weekly just to stay on the same page and to continue the work of relationship building. Because the danger of remote work is that you can end up in silos. And so we want to make sure the management team is always on the same page. So we have weekly pulse meetings, quarterly topic specific meetings, and then ad hoc meetings if there is an urgent issue that comes up.
excellent. Looking at some other firms, small, medium, and large, that I've been involved in. Um, One thing I see used by some is when they have, for example, a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting, they have a few items on the agenda which are um, automatic. We have to cover this one. And if we didn't cover it, we might not remember how important it is. But because it's one of the first things we must cover, um, there's an accountability that
Mhm.
flows from that, that keeps all of us and the firm itself in line, including on environmental or social issues. This is in the experiences that I've had working with different companies. Is there anything like that? Do you actually have sort of some set items in the agenda which are ways of ensuring that you do cover off, for example, sustainability dimensions, or is that handled more on an ad hoc basis when there is an issue? We handle it. If there is no issue, it's not brought up, there's no need.
Yeah, well, I mean, I I do enjoy the traffic light approach, like discussing only things that need to be solved by the group. Our standing agenda consists of getting on the same page. Um, that could mean, catching up on what has happened or catching people up on what is expected to happen. That's a pretty stable part of the agenda. And then we have some set KPIs that we look at weekly that are leading indicators of future success. So we want to make sure that we're staying on top of those KPIs.
Makes sense. Well,
And then any red light issues or challenges that people want input from the team on.
makes sense. Completely makes sense. Um, when we look at the operating environment for small, medium, and large firms in Canada, as you were kind of um, uh, referring to, the last 5, 6 years have been crazy, right?
Yep.
You had COVID, was just absolutely crazy, and now we've got a country directly below us that is doing interesting things. I'm just holding my tongue here
hmm
tremendously. But with respect to both of those things, can you give us a little bit of an insight as to how you pivoted or are pivoting or just adjusted to those, if I can suggest those as being examples of challenges which you've faced, and by all means, provide better examples of challenges you faced, if those are not good ones?
Um, I'm not going to comment on our neighbor to the south. I will say that I like what I'm seeing from government in Canada, embracing uh, infrastructure projects and exploring ways to support economic sovereignty. Some of those projects we'll be participating in, others we won't. It's good for the country. Um, and if there are any government representatives on the call, I would, out of slight self-interest, make the statement that there's a lot of support for manufacturers, but manufacturers on their own don't get themselves to market. So I would love to see a little more support for the distributors that help put their product in the hands of the users.
Good point.
That's my little plug for
Shameless plug.
distribution companies.
But you're raising a good point. That is more than referring just to your company. Distributors in general,
Mhm.
you're suggesting is kind of a neglected issue when compared with manufacturers. That's a good point. I'm not expecting you to, and I totally understand why you wouldn't want to comment substantively with respect to what's happening in other jurisdictions that could have an impact on you. But can we talk about um, uh, the the value of certainty and
Mm,
reliability and consistency as being things that businesses look for from a planning standpoint,
mhm,
and how we're in a period of lack of certainty, lack of predictability, lack of reliability. Um, if that is a correct statement, then what is it that you can do about that? Again,
mm.
you're a small, medium-sized firm, tails can't wag dogs.
Yeah.
So um, I should hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that we've done is adopt a purpose and really embed it deeply into our business strategy, um, and and align all the aspects of um, our corporate statements around that. So purpose, vision, mission, values, strategy, when those things are in alignment, it's a lot easier to know what the right course of action is when you're broadsided by some unexpected change. And the values piece is very important as well, because that's um, helps you identify maybe what you're not willing to do, and you can hold steady with that, um, because people are less likely to act against their values when they have them very firmly understood.
Do you have any
But
examples of that you can kind of illustrate where you've been kind of shaken as an organization, but because you did have the strong understanding of your
ooh,
values, you're able to roll with it?
that's a good question. I don't think we've had that kind of challenge yet.
Well,
It's,
may,
we're
may I suggest that maybe you have,
oh
you're not recognizing it, and might be COVID.
oh yes yes. So COVID was a time it started 4 months after I took over the company. So I had a very short honeymoon period and then chaos. And what crystallized for me was that my primary role as the leader in that scenario was to make sure that everybody was okay and nothing else mattered, right? Um, that 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 became my job, was to make sure that people's jobs were protected, because getting laid off during that time would have been catastrophic, right? Um, and just to make sure that the team felt supported. So, yeah, that was my entree into leading this enterprise was the pandemic.
I wonder whether or not, in a way, that might not have been a bad thing from standpoint of change management, in the sense of
Mm,
you came in and you demonstrated through your words and more importantly, your actions on a day-to-day basis, your values, and those values were, and the values of the company, which were, is everybody okay?
Mm,
That might very well, I'm interested in your thoughts on this, might very well have cemented things with all of your staff everywhere is knowing Liz came through for us,
mm.
during that period, and therefore we're going to come through for her type of thing. You think that might be at all kind of at play
I'll
there?
ask them.
Okay, fair enough. But
There's only
yeah,
28. I can find
that's
out.
true. That's true. That's true. And they all
I
have to be on the call. So let me just
right,
check. No,
exactly.
I'm kidding. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think um those kind of human needs to be heard and seen and feel like you belong and that somebody has your back, that your team has your back, those are um that's how you create a positive work environment.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Well, I um, I have elsewhere described different types of pivots that took place during COVID. Pivots, PIVOTs. You can have a shallow pivot, and a shallow pivot is you had to adjust during the time of COVID, and then you went back to the way you were
Mm,
before. You can have a um, major pivot, which is you changed some things as a result of that, and you haven't gone back as a
mhm,
result of that. Some of those things you've kept going to this day. They didn't just, when COVID went away, you went back to exactly the way you were before. And then there's transformative pivots.
mm,
Transformative pivots are where you actually made some major directional changes for the organization. Would you say that with respect to COVID, where would you say that Armour Valve was at as a result of COVID? Was it just a shallow pivot? You were able to basically handle it and carry on afterwards, or was it a major pivot because flowing from it, we now do things differently. We learned this and that about ourselves, and now we do things differently. Or would you say it's in the transformative category?
I I sense that it's transformative.
Really?
Um, that would be my sense. And I mean, part of it is that things have never gone back to normal. I think, looking back every year since 2020, there's been one, maybe two international crises that businesses have had um, to weather. And that sort of volatility doesn't seem to be leaving us anytime soon. So, what you say about a shallow pivot, major transformative, it reminds me of anti-fragile and the idea that resilience means you go back to the way you were, and anti-fragile means you're changed permanently from the experience. Yeah, I think we were changed permanently.
Yeah. Let me give you an example of a transformative pivot
Mm,
from outside of your area. Uh, let's say, for example, you have a retail food establishment, a
mhm,
restaurant, and COVID hits. And during COVID, they basically end up ultimately closing down for COVID, the direct service restaurant, sit down restaurant. They close it down. After COVID ends, they decide, you know what? We're just going to be now a pickup and delivery um, food joint. So we're going to sell off our retail space on a major street, so because we don't need it anymore. Now we operate out of a back alley somewhere because it's all just about can we provide the food, and we can do that without all of the expense associated with being in a high rent district and having waiters and all that sort of stuff. So that'd be an example of a transformative pivot. They literally changed their business model.
model. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I gave that as an example, would you
Mhm.
say that you changed your business model?
We very intentionally adopted a quadruple bottom line business model and are in the process of implementing it. So the purpose is one quadrant, and then we have people, planet, and prosperity. So the idea there, and we're talking about responsible business, because we're talking with the CSR Institute. Um, the idea is to make sure that in all spheres that we're doing what's reasonable for a small business to do to create positive impact. So, of course, we want to be profitable, but beyond that, we want to make sure that our people can prosper, that our communities can prosper, that our clients and suppliers can prosper, all the stakeholders. As employers, we want to make sure that people feel valued and seen and heard, and that they have access to great training and upskilling, because that right now is it's going to be an ongoing part of running a business is to make sure that your staff continues to learn and upskill. And then for the environment, obviously, that's part of our purpose as well. But we try to find something to address each of the SDGs as they relate to people, planet, and prosperity.
Excellent. Um, I know that you're working towards diamond tier status for Canada Net Zero, for the Canada Net Zero Challenge. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How?
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. So the Net Zero Challenge has recently changed how they name their tiers. So the first time we reported, I think, was in 2024, and we achieved Diamond tier, which was the highest level at that time. And we resubmitted our GHG report in 2025 and received Gold tier status, which is the new highest level.
Okay.
And basically, it's because of our ambition, not because of our results. But we are making progress towards our goals. And as far as net zero is concerned, we're aiming for 2040. And our next big milestone is to get to 40% reduction by 2030. So that's what we're
Fantastic.
working towards. Yeah.
Final question really is just when we talk about small and medium-sized firms and we talk about standards and laws, a not uncommon observation that is made is that when you're in a small and medium-sized firm, a lot of the standards and laws, but we'll talk about standards, are they're not designed for small and medium-sized firms, or even if they are, the challenge is when you are a small and medium-sized firm, you really just don't have the bandwidth to, for example, get ISO certified to a number of, there's probably, I can think of probably 10 different standards that you could be certified to just in the
Mm.
ISO area.
Yep.
But a lot of small and medium-sized firms say that's just too, it's just too structured for a small organization. And we're going to spend all of our time just trying to fit into their structure
Yeah.
when, one of our main values is to be flexible and not having that sort of straitjacket put on us. So I'm just interested to hear your thoughts as a small and medium-sized firm and the value of standards that are out there, that could be out there for you as a small and medium-sized firm.
Yeah. Well, there are certainly standards that we'd love to certify to, but we can only take on so much. So for us, it's ISO 9001. And that in the supply chains that we operate in is table stakes. Like we have to have it. And it's not prescriptive. So it can be tailored to suit the business. The point is to have a quality system in place.
Right.
Um, and how detailed, how time consuming the processes are is really up to the business.
And so with respect to ISO 9001, then you're saying basically in order to play In order to
Hmm.
play, you have to be able to say that you're ISO 9001 certified because all of your partners above and below you are all 9001 certified. And so this is a way for whoever's at the top to ensure that everybody is meeting minimum quality, consistent standards. So
Hmm.
are you ISO 9001 certified?
Oh, yes, we have
Okay.
been since 1997.
Okay.
So we've had a lot of time to get used to it
Right.
and to
Right.
make it work for us, not the other way around.
Yes. Yes.
That's the danger.
Are there any other ISO standards that you've kind of cocked your eye at and said, those also look interesting, but not at this time? Like maybe 14,001
Yeah,
or one of the
that's what I
ones
was
in
gonna
there.
say.
Yeah.
Although I do think it's overkill for us because we're not like a full scale manufacturer, and so our energy usage, et cetera, it's all
Uh,
not that high.
right.
So I think it would be overkill. There are
Yeah.
other things that we've looked at, like B Corp.
Mhm.
We've looked at, but it's not something that the majority of our customers are looking for.
Okay.
There are a few, but it's not the majority. And we're already doing a lot of what B Corp uh, wants you to do voluntarily. And I guess that could be a final point. A lot of what we're doing is voluntary
Sure.
because we're a small business that's exempt, but we're doing it in a way that leverages our resources without taxing our people. And we're able to do it and do it at a high level, despite the fact that we don't have, a VP of sustainability or
Right.
a dedicated team.
Got it. Got it. Well, and I'm sensing based upon what you said about you have to have 9001 that if, for example, BMO said um, from now on we're only going to be looking at projects where everybody is B Corp certified, then
Mhm.
you'd get B Corp certified. That's if that's the price of admission, then that's what you do. So like that's a major explanation for which standard you would likely choose to adopt going forward would be if you're being pushed by one of your partners.
Absolutely, but we would be ready. I mean, we're a few points shy of a B Corp certification, of qualifying for one, but we know how to do the work now. Like, in other words, we're set up
Sure.
to be successful, whatever direction the wind blows.
Right.
If the CSSB becomes, in a couple of years, becomes a real thing,
You're
um,
ready. Yeah.
we're ready, and
Got
and
it.
that's important.
Excellent. Well, I would like to just ask you now at this point. I've tried to cover off the waterfront in terms of decision making of your organization, how you do things, why you do things, when you do things, um, role of standards, and that sort of thing. Is there anything that you can think of that you think maybe we should spend a minute or two talking about, or have we, to your satisfaction, kind of covered off most of the major points that you can think of?
There's so many different things we could talk about. I think as kind of a point final on the conversation, I mean, it all comes back to me, to family, and to what my next generation is going to think of. Um, you know, what I did, the impact that my business had on the world, and wanting to leave them proud of what I've done. And I think we're at this really exciting time, actually, even though there's a lot of uncertainty for Canada, where we get to decide where we go as a society, as a resource-based economy, as a diverse community of people from all over the world. We get to choose, and to a certain extent, we have to, where we're going. And I want the direction that I choose to mean something to my son. So That's where I think we could leave things today, if you don't
That's
mind.
terrific. Yeah. So, I mean, and that gets to this point of agency that you have got agency, you've got the ability to take the organization in a way which aligns with your values, your parents' values, and thinking ahead. For
Mhm.
example, your son's values. I guess we're fortunate to live in a country where small, medium-sized firms, as well as large firms, do have that potential if they want to to take that foot in that direction the way you're doing.
Yeah, and whether they do it formally or informally, the majority of them are already doing something in their communities. They're already deeply embedded in their communities.
Like,
So family businesses, I look at it as the backbone of our economy, small business and family-owned business.
well, yeah, and you're absolutely right. Statistically, you're right. When we talk about the number of small and medium-sized firms in Canada compared with all firms in Canada,
Hmm.
a vast, vast majority of them are small and medium-sized, and so they are to the left and to the right of you. You're going to find you throw a rock and you're going to hit a small and medium-sized, but there's no need to throw the rock.
No, we can duck.
Yes, you can duck. Very good. Well, on behalf of Toronto Metropolitan University, on behalf of the Diversity Institute, the Family Business Institute, and of course, the TMU CSR Institute, just want to say thank you very much for taking the time. And hopefully we can connect up maybe in a year or two and
Hmm.
get a kind of a progress report on how things are going.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.